Well, welcome to the latest episode of More Geek Than Gay. I am Edward. We're getting this started. Barely getting it out today, but let's see what happens. Music.
There's no need to fear. Underdog is here.
Walking, tiny, white stuff.
Welcome to More Geek Than Gay. I'm Joseph.
Hello, I'm Edward.
Hold on. I'm trying to do something. Sorry.
He's playing with the TV, so...
Yeah, I'm trying to turn it off because I didn't realize we were starting right now, so... Alrighty. So do we have any people who responded to our top 5 yet?
Not yet.
Okay. Just curious to see if anyone said anything about that.
Nope, not yet.
As well as the fact that the homework that Edward gave you on Wednesday.
Yes. No one's responded yet.
No one's responded. So before we start in, because we saw, we got caught up on Gotham.
Yep.
But last night I wanted to really talk quickly about, I went out with my family, my sister and her family and my mother. We went to the Arizona preview night at the Arizona Opera's new production. It's a mariachi opera called, say it, I don't know how to speak Spanish.
Cruzar la cara de la luna.
Which means walk across the face of the moon, I believe.
Pretty much.
It's very good. It's a one-act opera, so 90 minutes. Instead of a traditional symphony that you get at an opera,
you get mariachis.
Mariachis, and they're
Yay!
on stage. So it's actually really good. It's a good show. It's about the Mexican immigrants.
Yes. Except for they don't bring you chips and salsa.
No, you can't do that in an opera.
But you can have mariachis.
Yes.
Without chips and salsa. I don't understand that combination.
But it was a good show. This was the third production of this opera.
Okay.
It was commissioned and started in Houston, and then it was in Paris, and now it's here in Phoenix.
In Houston, I bet you could have gotten chips and salsa.
Not for an opera. But it's sung in English and sung in Spanish. So, and they had super titles. So it was interesting that when they talked in English, the Spanish super titles were on top. And when they, of course, Spanish, the English was super titles were up top. So, good production. Another reason why I wanted to talk about it is because I actually woke up with one of the song melodies in my head. So that shows a good show. If they have a catchy tune.
There's a catchy tune?
There's a couple of catchy tunes, yeah.
Okay. Do any of them start?
Yeah,
of course they do.
Close to it. Close to it. No. It wasn't. It didn't start out that way. But there is this one song where it's the last note, and she's like how they also do at the end of a mariachi song. Mm-hmm. She did that, and I'm like, okay, but it didn't start off that way. But it there is one song that ended that way. So
okay.
That's what I said. Close to.
Okay.
So that was my night, and that's my little thing. This morning we had basically a Batman morning.
Yep.
We got caught up on Gotham.
Yep.
And then we watched Beware the Batman, which I had, taped.
Yes.
That was... I don't know, maybe because I wasn't too into it. I don't know, it was episode.
Well...
And it also seemed like I missed a couple episodes, because they were talking about other things that I don't remember.
Well, remember, Cartoon Network was supposed to have aired that chunk of them that for some reason we didn't record, and then I don't even know where this chunk is coming from.
There's only one so far.
I thought that they finished it with that chunk that was supposed to air at like 3 o'clock in the morning 4 months ago or whatever.
Yeah, last August I think it was, wasn't it?
Something like that, yeah. And we, for some reason, didn't get that. And now, for some reason, these last episodes are showing up now, but I don't think it's actually all the last episodes. If you're not,
Yeah, because they said, they were mentioning a couple of things that happened, and I'm like, I don't remember this.
Like the death of Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
He's not really dead.
No.
Yeah, because, Batman.
Yeah. And then Gotham, what do you think of Gotham?
I like it.
It still holds your interest?
Yeah. Sorry, we have workers out in the alley, so you may have just heard some whoops.
I thought that was a cat.
I thought it was the beginning of a mariachi song. But, yeah, Gotham's doing good. And I'm going to be in a minority on this. I don't like the lesbian subplot. I don't like it at all. I understand that they're creating their own little reality of Gotham there. Montoya is a lesbian. I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with Montoya having a girlfriend. I do have a problem with Montoya having a girlfriend had a girlfriend who is James Gordon's current girlfriend and
future wife
and future mother to Barbara Gordon. I have issues with that. And I know that, like I said, they're creating their own reality, and therefore, none of that's for sure. All sorts of things are up in the air. Look at this. The Riddler's clearly like a decade older than Batman. So already we're playing fast and loose. And okay, I don't like it. I genuinely don't like that subplot.
But everything else?
It seemed tacked on for absolutely no reason other than to go, hey, look, we have lesbians, and we had a lesbian character, so let's give her something lesbian to do, even if it involves a character who's not a lesbian character. Everything else was okay. The ruthlessness of the Penguin is interesting. He doesn't seem to be as plotting as he should be, but hey. And you?
I like it. The roommate that dare not speak its name mentioned something to me about the show, and now I can't get it out of my head.
The death of Fish?
No.
Oh.
No, the fact of that this is basically a glorified cop show.
Oh yeah. There is no doubt about it. Just like Gotham Central. The Gotham Central comic book was a glorified police procedural comic book. That's all this is. But it's a cop show with all, and Afterlife with Archie is a zombie story, but it's a zombie story that's using pre-established characters to help give us little hints of this and add layers without actually having to go into adding the layers, because we already know the history of the layers. Same thing with Gotham. Fortunately, we already know the stories of a lot of these characters, and therefore that it's a shortcut, and some people would possibly call it lazy, but it's not lazy. It's the reason why you do a Robin Hood story out of the blue, because people know the story of Robin Hood, so they can carry that into it, and you can just tell the new story without having to add all the backstory and all the layers, and people add the layers because they already know the story.
Yeah.
That's all this is. It's using Gotham and Batman as Robin Hood. So I'm fine with it being just a police show.
Camera being moved, but even with that, I still like the Gotham. I still like the show. That lesbian subplot thing, I was like, just because, really, are you now catering? That's my thing.
That's honestly what it felt like. Felt like pandering.
Hey, we're diversity. We have
Yeah.
diversity. We have diversity.
And truly, I don't mind, because, I mean, that Montoya's character is a lesbian. She has a girlfriend. She was hanging out with She was Batwoman's girlfriend, actually, for a long time. And the Question... Well, she was the Question, actually. So, I mean, she has established girlfriends. And I'm not saying... You could have introduced Kate into Gotham, and it would have been perfectly fine. I mean, a lot of the characters are already older than what they should be, because Montoya should be actually a little bit younger than Batman, so, okay. But, no, they turned Barbara Gordon Sr. into, well, the future Barbara Gordon Sr. into a bisexual just for the sake of giving them a lesbian storyline. The rumor is don't get too attached to Fish.
Yes.
So
that's the rumor, which is a bummer because I really like Fish.
This
is one of the few roles that I like Jada Pinkett Smith in.
I don't think they're going to do it. I really don't think they're going to kill off this character after spending this much energy into creating a brand new character like this. She has all the earmarks of a character that will be probably introduced into the comic books after the fact. Just like Harley Quinn. And Montoya, actually. Montoya started out in Batman the Animated Series. And she was written into the comic books.
Oh, really? I didn't know that part.
Yeah, she wasn't a lesbian on the animated series. You know? Yeah, sexuality didn't really figure into Batman the Animated Series. The only two who seemed to be possibly getting it on was, oddly enough, maybe the Joker and Harley. No one else seemed to actually have a romantic life.
Ew. I thought they were related.
Huh?
Harley Quinn and the Joker.
Oh my god, that would just be so squicky.
Yeah, I know, that's right.
Because
I always thought they were kind of related.
No, she's a psychiatrist. She was a psychiatrist at Arkham.
See, I didn't see that part.
Yeah, and she went a little loopy for the J-Man. But, so, yeah, that's... I'm kind of curious to see what other villains we're going to be seeing in the future. Yeah. And if we're going to see Riddler turn. Because right now all we're seeing is Detective or whatever he is, Enigma?
Yeah.
I don't know what his... Because I don't think he's a cop. I think
he works...
forensics or something?
Yeah, he's the CSI.
Okay, yeah, I haven't figured out exactly what his job is. Maybe his job is kind of like Barry Allen in The Flash. So...
Which I haven't seen yet.
Yeah. And I've now seen it twice, because I got to see it when it was released online. During that brief moment that it was online, and it looks pretty much the same. It looks better because it's finished now. So, and we haven't caught up on Archer, which we won't be catching up. We'll be starting anew with Archer, actually.
Archer?
Arrow.
Arrow? Yeah, we're starting to watch Arrow again.
Just because, and I've been told that Arrow got rid of a lot of the things that I didn't like about it very soon, about halfway through the first season, that I gave up on it too early. Because
after the third or fourth episode, it was done.
Yeah, because he was just too angsty, gritty, dark. He was very
CW.
He was very CW. He was very two-dimensional Batman as filtered through CW to give him the rest of the dimensions that he'd lacked since he was two-dimensional. It's all that stuff that people like to think that Batman is without actually putting any personality into Batman. All the things that bad writers do with bad Batman. And then, then we give him angst and a backstory so that now he's Green Arrow. And it lost me so fast. That's what Arrow is. He's Green Arrow. Oliver Queen.
Oliver Queen.
Yes.
That's a good track name.
Olivia Queen?
No. all over Queen. As a king.
Oh, okay.
I said drag me, so.
Well, that's true. But, so, I heard that it got better, and they just introduced the Atom in the last episode. In The Flash, we've already seen pictures released online of the Reverse Flash, although we don't know which Reverse Flash it's going to be. We've already seen...
Which means he runs backwards.
Yeah. And then they've already announced casting for Professor Stein, who is Firestorm, which they did put him in the cartoons Justice League Challenge of the Universe or whatever. Super Friends Challenge of the Universe. And I think he appeared in Justice League Unlimited. Not sure. But he's been kind of a mainstay in comic books, so it'll be kind of interesting to see him pop up, if he does. Because he's on... The interesting thing about one of the interesting things about Firestorm is because of a nuclear accident, they happen, comic books, two people actually are kind of fused together to become Firestorm. And so Robbie Richards? No. Robbie... Wow, I can't remember Robbie's last name. But high school senior or college sophomore, something like that. Probably college, actually. It's his body, him, and everything. But Professor Stein is actually merged into him, and he's kind of the subconscious. He can talk to Robbie. Well, no one else can hear him, but they can converse back and forth, which is really good because Robbie doesn't know really anything about physics. And so, so fortunately, Professor Stein is there to help him be smart. But we only have half of the equation so far being introduced into The Flash.
Well,
So
it was just the first episode.
he wasn't in that.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. No, we only know of the casting of half the equation. Just like we don't know of what future villains... there surprisingly not a lot has been released with The Flash. They're already talking, though, about a third show.
Really? I haven't heard anything.
Yep, they're talking about making a third show, and people are trying to figure out what it'll be. Our Man is a possibility. Firestorm is a possibility. There is a third one there's three that are considered frontrunners to the CW superhero universe, because it'll be part of that universe. It won't be part of Gotham. It won't be part of Constantine. It won't be part of CBS's Supergirl. It won't be part of TNT's Teen Titans. A lot of DC properties ending up on TV,
Well,
which is good because DC knows how to do TV.
Yeah, and Marvel knows how to do movies.
Yeah. So, I have no problem with that. But yeah, that's kind of where that's sitting right now.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to Arrow to get back into it because John Barrowman's coming back as a full-time character.
Yeah, there's Merlin,
Mm-hmm.
who's another Archer. Who I do find... Oh, no, that was in Batman. Beware the Batman. Never mind. I was like, I do find it interesting that two shows are going to have Deathstroke at the same time. But, no. That Arrow has Deathstroke, the Terminator, Wilson Slade, or Slade Wilson. I don't know. And it was Beware the Batman.
Just had him.
Gotham doesn't necessarily have him.
No.
That we know of.
Not yet.
But
you never know.
I'd be surprised if they did. They probably are restricted on what characters. Just like how even the Marvel movies, they're restricted. It's because of a sheer technicality that Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver are able to appear in both the Avengers and the X-Men movies. But even though they're mutants, in the Avengers, they can't be mutants. Because you're not allowed to have mutants in properties, apparently, outside of the X-Men. I don't understand how they can have, like, the copyright on, but we own having mutant heroes.
It's studios.
Because
the X-Men is Columbia?
I do understand that, but at the same time, mutants are just mutants. I mean, Marvel has mutants. DC has had some mutants. Marvel's never sued DC over the fact that there's mutants because, it's a mutant. It's not a copyrightable situation. Mutants happen. So, I don't know how the Avengers can be told, no, you're not allowed to have mutants. I can see how they're being told, you can't have X-Men, and you can't have X properties, and you can't have Sentinels, and you can't have, you can't have a lot of these things that are tied in with
the
X-Men. But the idea that you just can't have a character that's a mutant seems odd. It seems to be overstepping, but who knows? And in a way, it's kind of becoming a who cares moment because it's Marvel's already doing stuff outside. Marvel's doing a whole bunch of really interesting things, and recent talks seem to explain a lot of stuff that I've been seeing going around. Because Marvel is possibly in talks with Sony to tie the Spider-Man movies into the Avengers movies. And Sony will still get to be doing Spider-Man, but it'll be a joint studio situation.
Mm-hmm.
The X-Men will still be Fox.
Is it Fox? Oh, so
Fantastic Four will still be Fox. Hey, guess what comic book is being canceled on the Marvel lineup? Fantastic Four. Guess what storyline is starting up in Marvel? One that is going to be... Okay, this one is actually a little bit of speculation, but it looks heavily like it is going to be one that severely limits the number of mutants that appear in the Marvel Universe. Including many popular ones that have been, like Gambit, who has been announced to be in possibly the next X-Men movie. Yeah, he's possibly being written out of the Marvel Universe. And in the 75th anniversary magazine and a lot of the stuff, you have to hunt high and low to find X-Men, or you have to really hunt to find Fantastic Four. You have to hunt a bit to find X-Men. Marvel seems to be definitely coming to the point of, we're not going to advertise for other studios. And publishing these comic books are advertising for other studios. They can't get rid of Spider-Man because, he was even kind of the symbol of Marvel for a long time. They can't get rid of X-Men because... Oops.
Oh, well, okay.
Well, yeah, that's what happens.
So
they can't get rid of X-Men because it's their top-selling comic book. But they can do things to limit it severely. And that appears to be what they're going to do. But they're not limiting Spider-Man, but lo and behold, now they're in talks with Sony to work with Sony on Spider-Man and the Avengers. So it doesn't help them to not produce Spider-Man and not promote it. It'll be very interesting to see how this ends up. But that's kind of the whole Marvel universe of movie stuff going on too right now.
Mm-hmm.
So, anything you got?
Well, you wanted to do some honorable mentions.
Oh, yeah. Movies. Horror movies.
Horror movies. And I saw on Facebook, I haven't answered it yet, but another person who I don't think watches our podcast, but I got a kick out of the fact that he does a question of the day.
Uh-huh.
Greg Edelman. And his question of the day was, what are your top 5 horror films?
Oh, hey.
So I'm going to reply to that this afternoon and basically say, well, watch our podcast and see.
Yeah, we got it. Yeah. Oh crap! I don't have because one of them.
I thought it was right here.
No, it's out there because I needed it when I was posting. I needed the list.
The list, yes.
Yeah, but I can tell you off the top of my head a couple of my honorable mentions. The Fly.
Which is I thought was going to be in your top 5.
I know you thought it was going to be my top 5, and
the way you rave about it all the time.
It is. It was on my top 5 for a little while until I started going. I mean, there's part of me that actually feels guilty about putting Extro on my top 5 because Extro is not that good of a movie. It's really just the fact that it has such effective scenes that will stay with you that put Extro on my top 5. The Fly is a much better movie. A much better movie. I think that
the remake.
The remake, I believe Gina Davis actually should have gotten an Oscar nod that year. If Sigourney Weaver was going to get it for Aliens, then Gina Davis definitely deserved it for The Fly. I think that Gina Davis put in a much better performance than Sigourney Weaver did for Aliens. Same year. But I also think the original. I think the original The Fly is one of the superior movies. The black and white. I don't. Is The Fly Universal?
Yes.
Okay, I couldn't remember if Fly is Universal or if it just seems Universal-ish because it's such a classic monster. But I think he's actually one of the better ones. Oh, hi, Mr. Man.
About time you came here.
And let me go get the list real quick. Ow,
Okay.
ow, ow. Well, you... Fuck. Ow. Well, you...
Okay, so while Edward gets to the list, my honorable mentions is, well, matter of fact, as he mentioned it, is Aliens and Alien. Alien and Aliens. Both of those, I think, should be together. Good movies. The other one, same thing that I think should be put together is basically one long movie, is basically Frankenstein and The Bride of Frankenstein. Well, each one still... Same thing with Alien and Aliens, while each one still holds true to themselves, I think they work so much better if you do them at the same time. So Alien and Aliens, as well as Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein. What is another one that I had as an honorable mention? Oh gosh, I can't remember right now. But because one of the things I realized that my horror films are nothing's past 1980, I believe. So I can't. And there was a current one, but I cannot think of it right now.
You can't think of what?
Well, I was saying because all my horror films are before.
It is in here.
Were from the latest one was from like what 1980, 1981.
Halloween.
Yeah. No. Changeling was 80. But anyways,
Oh yeah, Changeling is earlier, or is yeah.
Yeah, so I was trying to think of it. I had a horror film that came in recent times, and I just cannot remember what it is anymore.
Oh, so you haven't mentioned your first honorable mention yet?
Yeah, I already did.
Oh, what was it?
I actually said that it was the two grouping that these two sets of two movies should be grouped together. That while they each stand good alone, I think they're better if you do a double feature showing of each one, and that would be Frankenstein and The Bride of Frankenstein.
Okay.
As well as Alien and Aliens.
I cannot get into... And I don't consider Aliens to be a horror movie. Aliens is just a war movie.
See, to me it's a horror film still.
Aliens, I don't think is... I think it's an overrated movie. And it's partially because I don't believe the motivation. And I've later found out that there is a scene that was cut out of the movie that if that scene had been included in the movie, I would actually have no problem with the movie at all. It's a scene that actually explains Ripley's motivation so much better.
And then my other question for you is, Okay, now these are just horror films. Are they, or can they be Halloween films? There is a difference.
I don't see why they couldn't be Halloween films. I mean, I'm assuming that you're thinking The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yes.
Okay, I consider that more of a Christmas film, but
Really, I consider that a Halloween film. It's actually both.
yeah. And see, that's what puts one of mine as an honorable mention, just because it felt funny to put it on as a as a horror movie to watch at Halloween, even though that's not the criteria here. It doesn't have to be Halloween.
Yeah.
Although these are horror movies. You can watch them anytime. But Black Christmas, the original one from 1974 with Margot Kidder,
Hey, come here.
really just felt like something to watch at Christmas time. But it is possibly the birth of the modern slasher film.
Really, is that considered?
I think it's, yeah. It predates Halloween, and it has just the killer who's going out stalking the sorority girls. We have the trapped in the house motif because it's all the girls in the house. In their sorority house. But I personally think it definitely falls into the category of a stalker film.
Yeah.
Or slasher film. It's not as graphic, but then again, even Halloween's not that graphic.
No, it's not.
By today's standards at all.
No, and that's one of the reasons why I liked it, because of the fact I'm not one for gore.
Yeah. Another one that I was actually surprised wasn't on your list was Misery.
Ooh, good movie. I didn't even think about Misery.
I figured Misery would be on your list.
Yeah. That's a creep out factor. I like that one.
And I mean, definitely horror. I think the movie actually improves upon the book. The hobbling scene is much more effective.
It's very iconic.
It's iconic, and I find it much more effective than just an axe. I believe it's an axe that she uses in the book. The hobbling is just wow. So
Silence of the Lambs is another good one.
Okay, yeah, Silence of the Lambs.
There you go. That movie was what, 90s, so at least I got up to the 90s.
Oh, that's what I was thinking. I do have one that I guarantee very few people have ever seen, and I think people should. It is so much fun. It's again an honorable mention because I just don't even know if it really counts as a horror movie. But it gets lumped in with thrillers or whatever. And that's this Japanese film called 2LDK. It's named after the type of apartment listing that these two girls are listed.
Oh, that one. That
2 bedrooms, living room, dining room, kitchen.
Yeah.
That's what 2LDK stands for. There are two actresses up for the same part. For some reason, they have to live in the same apartment, even though they hate each other. And things just get flipping out of hand one night.
Yeah, very creepy. It's a creepy movie.
See, I'm not sure if it's for me creepy because it just becomes so over the top and just back and forth. It's like for me, it's like an extended scene from Kill Bill. Almost, it's like a scene from Kill Bill. If one of those fight scenes decided to last pretty much the whole movie.
Yeah.
But it's just a great movie to watch, and I can kind of see why people put it on the list of horror movies. It just doesn't feel like a horror movie to me, and that's how come it makes at best honorable mention. But it's a great movie. I think people really should see it. Evil Dead. I actually like the first one better than Evil Dead 2, and definitely better than the remake.
Yeah.
But that could just be me. the second one is more polished, but the second one starts going into a little bit more slapstick. The first one's a little bit more just there to creep you out and scare you, and I like that. Night of the Living Dead is a classic.
Yeah, and it's a zombie movie, and you're all about zombies.
I am, but Night of the Living Dead also is kind of... It has something to say to a degree. We have a black character who is the hero. We have people from all walks of life gathering together. It has very, very effective directing, even with some slipshod acting at times and scripting. And it's really fascinating when you actually think about it and you realize that the hero of the movie is the reason why everyone died. If the characters had actually followed the guy who was the jerk, and I believe racist, and it's the character that we as an audience hated, and we wouldn't go with him, well, that ended up being the solution that saved it, that saved him, the lone survivor. If everybody had done what that guy said, they would have lived. Instead, they listened to the hero. Everybody died except for him. And he only lived because he eventually did what the asshole said to do. And that's a very interesting conundrum.
Yeah.
As a movie viewer. The other one that came up because Steve mentioned it with me. And it's a shame that we can't watch horror movies with Jeannie. Because this one I think is so up her alley too. And that is Motel Hell.
Oh, Motel Hell. Yeah.
Motel Hell. I love Motel Hell. It flopped horribly when it came out because people didn't understand it was a comedy. But it takes all kind of critters to make what's-his-face's fritters. I cannot remember the name.
I can't think of the name. I don't know the name.
Yeah.
But I do love the tagline at the end.
What is it? I have it so close to in my head too. But I want to say I use preservatives, but
Yep.
Was it preservatives?
Yes, it was. I use preservatives. And there's Biggie.
Hey, Mr. Big. Deaf as a deaf cat. So, do you have any other honorable mentions?
No, that's it.
I do have one last one, which I forgot about this one. This one I so wanted to include. And it's called Bug. It has Ashley Judd in it. It's from 2006. And the only reason it's not on my list is because it's more of a psychological study than a horror movie. I think eventually someone dies in the movie, but it's actually...
Biggie, come here.
Two people meet up with each other, and the guy starts sharing with him that there's these bugs that the government is putting out there that are going to get to people and stuff, and they have to protect themselves. And she starts going into it, and she ends up quitting her job, and they just end up feeding into each other with it. It's, there's actually a name for what they're falling into. It's, folie à deux. And any of you who know how to speak French, I apologize for messing that up. But basically, it's a delusion or lunacy that occurs because of the right two people coming together. They're usually healthy when apart from each other, but together they're insane. And they're suffering from delusional parasitosis.
Okay.
Yeah. And the movie just starts getting over the top, becoming incredibly uncomfortable. I've heard that it's based on a play. And it's really uncomfortable. But it's more psychological, and it's about those people and their psychosis. They're not really striking out against others so much. Like I said, I think maybe someone is killed or something like that towards the end of it. But that's it. So that's how come it didn't make my list. And it's one of those that I can easily see going either way with people. Because I can see people just not being able to get into watching two people become insane in front of you. And there is a question in your mind about, even if they're insane, does that make them wrong? That question is an active part of the movie for a long time.
Yeah.
You know, just because you're paranoid doesn't mean you're wrong. In this case, just because they're insane doesn't mean that there aren't bugs. So, I would recommend Bug, but at the same time, be aware of what you're walking into. It's a movie about insanity. So, any others?
That's all I could think of.
Okay. Well, I guess that's our episode today. And we will catch you again this weekend. Feel free to give us your recommendations for what you think are great movies, horror movies, or Halloween movies. And don't forget about Joshua Tree Feeding Program. They help people with HIV and AIDS feed themselves because they help provide food for them. And they got a sister program for pets, so you don't have to choose between feeding yourself and feeding your pet. www.jtfp.org or www.jtpap.org. Ooh, Pet Assistance Program. Yeah, look at that. I learned that there was another website. Volunteer organizations, so feel free to contact them, see what you can do to help them out. And until next time, toodles.
Good night, goodbye, good morning.